Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. The Women of Courage show is being broadcast by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help you problem solve, to help you dream again, to help you believe that anything is possible. We want you to believe that you do not have to marry the first man you meet just to get someone to take care of you. You do not have to live a life of drudgery. You can educate yourself. All you have to do is learn to read competently. We want you to take a chance on yourself. Stop believing all the soothsayers around you that have never left a state in their lives. People who do not have courage to fly. People who only think of lying, cheating, and stealing. You can live an exciting life. All you have to do is believe that you can make your dreams come true. You do not have to go to bed with someone you despise day in and day out. You have the right to marry someone that you can talk to someone that believes in you and has faith in you as a human being. In other words, you do not have to settle for just anyone. But what you must do is strive toward your goal. You must be goal oriented. You must organize yourself. You must be clear about what you want in life and why you want such a life. All of us are made up of dreams. As our dreams unfold in our lives, our spirit soars. Realizing our dreams becomes a problem because oftentimes we are beaten down by our friends and family. We are beaten down at school by people laughing at us because of our shoe size, our ear size, our breast size, the clothes we wear, etc. We are beaten down by people saying nothing will come of our lives. We are beaten down when our mothers and grandmothers constantly say that we're going to be just like our father, an inmate in prison. Many of us are also discouraged when our mothers are inattentive. She is wrapped up in her new boyfriend. But life anew is possible. It is my job to encourage you to go as far as you can dream and as far as your dreams can take you. It is my job to get you to believe in life again. I am sick and tired of people failing at life just because they are around negative speaking and negative acting people. Do not let the failure of other people make you lose confidence in yourself. Yes, you may be surrounded by poverty, but you must look for a way out. The book, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, will help you. What you must do above all else is learn to read competently. You must read, and read. Anyone who laughs at you for reading, you need to leave that person alone. I do not care if it's your mother. Anyone who discourages you, you are to stop all association. Man is not different than plants. We need encouragement to grow as plants need water to thrive. You are to leave foolish, stupid people alone. Their ignorance will weigh you down or even get you killed. Sit down and think how you can avoid these people, especially if they're in your family. If you are overwhelmed with the tiring feeling that feels as if you're carrying a bag of stone around every morning when you get out of bed and think how you'll have to spend another living life you're not passionate about, the books I suggest are the perfect solution for your unique needs. Not only will we help you realize why these feelings overwhelm you and what you can do to change it, but they will also teach you how to live a life of strength, courage, fearlessness in order to realize all of your dreams. If you are lacking the attitude and psychology, proper resource or vision to make your dreams a reality, combined with dissatisfaction with the execution of your plans, but you remain firmly dedicated to making your ambition a reality and creating the life you deserve, you will certainly derive the most benefit from professional, incredible content within these books. Contents that will assist you in achieving the results that you are after. You are never to give up on yourself. Are you ready to leave your future to chance? Of course not. Take your life in your hand and learn all the necessary tools, mindset, strategies used by the men and women of courage used in order to live the life of their dream. Change your life with our book starting today.
It's just as important to how you end the day as it is to how you start the day. And that's with positivity. Now, we can't change what has happened today, but we can change our thoughts into tomorrow. Now, before you sleep, you need to make sure you're in a calm state of mind. No phones, no tablets, no distractions. I want you to start thinking about all of your dreams and goals coming true. I want you to really picture how life would be once you meet those goals. How happy would you be? How would your life change for the better if you met these goals? Now you can start to feel the anxiety of the day slowly fade. You can start to feel the heaviness turn to light. And every moment you stay in this calm state, you start to feel better, feel more confident. You start to feel more assured. And this is how you end every day, thinking about your goals, thinking about your accomplishments, thinking about the positive people in your life, all the support you have, all the people wishing you success. This is how you end your day. A calm state with positive thoughts. Your future is now. Visualize it into tomorrow.
During the next couple of shows, we are going to discuss the subject of voting, through which I hope that you will learn that the life that you lead is based on how people vote. Why should you vote? Because if you do not vote, you do not have a say in how our country is run. No vote, no voice. The right to vote is the foundation of any democracy. Chief Justice Earl Warren wrote in the case Reynolds versus Sims in 1964. The right to vote freely for the candidate of one's choice is of the essence of a democratic society, and any restriction on the right strikes at the heart of a representative government. This quote from Chief Justice Warren answers the question why you should vote. You want to live in a democracy? Then you vote. If you want someone else telling you what to do, then stay home, don't vote. Voting rights in the United States. The issue of voting rights in the United States, specifically the enfranchisement and the disenfranchisement of different groups, have been contested throughout the United States history. Eligibility to vote in the United States is established both through the United States Constitution and by state law. Several constitutional amendments requiring the voting rights of United States citizens cannot be abridged on account of race, color, previous conditions of servitude, sex, or age for those above the age of 18. The Constitution, as originally written, did not establish any such rights during 1787 and 1870. Beyond qualifications for suffrage, rules and regulations concerning voting have been contested since the advent of Jim Crow laws and related provisions that indirectly disenfranchise racial minorities. Now, why the right to vote is not a right. Although Native Americans were born within the national boundaries of the United States, those on reservations were considered to be citizens of their own tribe rather than the United States. Therefore, they were denied the right to vote because they were not considered to be citizens by law and were thus ineligible to vote. Yet, they were subject to United States law. In 1920, women were guaranteed the right to vote through the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That is correct. We had to amend the United States Constitution to allow women the right to vote. White women were not considered equal to white men, and black men were not considered equal to white men, and non-landowners were not considered equal to landowners. Why do you need to go register and vote? The presidential election will soon be here, and I've encountered several people who said that they are not going to vote in this election because none of the candidates are honorable or scripturally correct. While these qualities are highly desirable in candidates, we live in an age where few people involved in politics can claim any of these traits. My answer to them is as follows. As a member of this society, you need to get out and vote. Your vote counts. It is our right to stand up against wrong in any way we can. Our government is a republic in which we are given the responsibility to vote for people to represent us. As a believer of the rule of law, we have to stand up against evil in any way we can. So we need to ask ourselves, are we for the constitutional qualities that honor the rule of law, or are we against it? If so, then you need to go out and vote. Why complain? Vote. President Hussein Barack Obama tweeted that we should all vote. If you have something to say, you need to vote. If you're sick and tired of all the lies, then you need to vote. If you want a government for the people, then you need to vote. If you want a responsible government, then you need to vote. If you want to protect your Social Security, you need to vote. If you want the post office saved, you need to vote. If you want to protect the environment, you need to vote. If you want to protect our rivers, lakes, and streams, you need to vote. If you're tired of pollution being created by carbon emissions, you need to vote. If you want good medical care for all, then you need to vote. If you want to protect your family, you need to vote. In November, the fate of our country will be in your hands. Vote. If you did not get a stimulus check, you need to vote. If you have asthma, you need to vote. Why? Because our environment is being polluted. And the only way to stop this pollution is electing people who will attend to this problem. If any member of your family or your child has asthma, you need to vote. If you're a teacher, you need to vote. If you want change in your life, you need to vote. If you are a felon, you need to vote. If you want to bring prosperity into your environment, you need to vote. You should not despair. There is always hope. This is why you vote, to restore hope in yourselves and others. Every time there's an election, you should vote. If you're going to vote in the state of Georgia, you need to bring a chair because they're trying to stop certain people from voting. If you're going to vote, you need to research all of the issues on the ballot before you vote. Not vote for a judge just because she's a female. When we increase voter turnout, our communities will benefit from the job growth, better health care, better education, better infrastructure, a better economy, safer neighborhoods, and most importantly, a better quality of life for our families. It's time to change the status quo and improve the lives of everyone we care about through voting because our voices matter. Even if you go to a polling location and only vote for one person, it will count. By law, your vote has to be counted. Your ballot cannot be skipped or ignored, otherwise, it is unconstitutional. Sometimes elections can come down to a small number of votes, which greatly affect how your city, state, and nations are run. You vote. Your vote counts. People have died defending your right to vote. Do not take it for granted. Voting is more than just electing a candidate. It is choosing the right policies and people who will have the best interests in mind when making decisions that will affect our community, our state, and our nation. When you vote, you are taking an active role in deciding issues regarding health care, immigration, equal opportunity voting rights, infrastructure, jobs, education, social security, neighborhood safety, and taxes. You can vote to allocate money, federal money, to your region. This money can be used for education, youth programs, health care, veterans, creating jobs, the environment. For your region to grow and get state and federal funding, you need to vote. Voting only takes a couple of minutes, but the ripple effect caused by your vote will last beyond a candidate's term. Do you want someone else deciding for you the laws that will affect your family and community? Voting gives you the power to choose how your city, your state, and your country will be run. If you do not vote, you can't complain. Go vote and make the decision before someone else does it for you. Elected officials, such as a city or county commissioner, the governor, state officials, legislators, presidents, and members of Congress, will decide how to pay for public services with the money collected from our taxes and how to share the tax burden. Take an active role and find out if your candidate shares your views and will spend your money wisely. When you vote for a member of Congress, the president, the governor, and your legislators, they make decisions that affect minimum wage, fairness in hiring, pay equity, job security, workplace safety, and health insurance provided by your employer. Local and state school board members who you elect will make decisions on policies and budgets that will affect how well prepared your children will be for the future. Your legislators, governors, members of Congress, and the president also make decisions that affect the cost and quality of public schools and higher learning institutions. Vote to place your children and grandchildren in good hands. Health care is affected by your vote. Your vote grants the governor, the legislature, and Congress the right to take action and pass or reject laws that can determine your access to health care. Vote and elect people who can have your best interests in heart. Do it for your loved ones so that they will have access to health care. Your Social Security upon retirement is affected by your vote. Whomever you elect for president and Congress will decide how much payroll tax you pay and what Medicare services you receive and shall payment for. They also make decisions on the cost of living increases and benefit schedules for your Social Security pension. Currently, there are certain people in Congress trying to get rid of Social Security. They're doing this by trying to reduce the payroll tax. So Social Security can implode in another 10 years and then they can abolish it. By abolishing Social Security, they're creating an entire group of slaves who they can make work and do anything that they want them to do. Elected officials and judges make day-to-day decisions on laws that will affect your community. Law enforcement, crime prevention, traffic patterns, and where to build schools, parks, and recreation. This is why you need to research the judges that you vote for. Get nosy. Talk to attorneys who practice in these courts and let them tell you what they think about these judges. Just because a person is a judge does not make them a nice person. Some of these judges are truly hateful. Sometimes there are roads with potholes, and no one seems to be doing anything about them. Yet the people you elected, like commissioners, legislators, governors, and members of Congress, take an active role in deciding what highways are needed, what public transits to support, and how the bill will be paid for. Vote to elect people who will do something to fix the problems that you are facing in your life. Stop voting because you like somebody's last name and start voting on people who will do something to help improve the entire community, not just members of their racial group. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now, the Michigan primaries and the general election are coming up, so we thought we should say something about why you should vote. Elizabeth Wallis from the League of Women Voters in Texas says here are some reasons why you should vote. She says if nobody votes, it's not a democracy. If you don't vote, people will not take you seriously. Voting is how you define yourself as part of something larger than yourself. Number four, if you do not vote, someone else will make the decisions for you. Voting is part of your independence. Number five, it matters. It matters to the future of you, your family, and your community. Six, people who don't vote are letting down their families and their communities. Moms, do you have an 18-year-old in your family? If so, give him or her register and be certain they vote. 8. Refusing to vote isn't a rebellion, it's a surrender. Number 9. Love your country. Prove it by voting. Number 10. Voting is the great equalizer. The richest billionaire in America gets just one vote, the same as you and me. Number 11. What do the smart people do? They vote. They are voters. Number 12. Elections have consequences. Be a voter. Elected officials make all the big decisions and they listen to the people who vote. Number 14. If you don't vote, you're invisible to the elected officials who make all the big decisions. Number 15. Did you know people with money spend billions of dollars on elections? Billions spent for television ads, mailers, people to make phone calls and to knock on doors. The smart people spending all that money are trying to influence the voters. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't do it. Number 16. If you don't vote because you think your vote doesn't matter, then the people who don't want you to vote because you are afraid of how your vote will not win. Number 17. Bad people are elected by the good people who did not vote. Hundreds of thousands of Americans have died to protect your right to vote. You owe it to them to vote. 19. Voting is the right thing to do. Start preparing to vote now. Go and register at the Secretary of State's office. Find out where your polling place is and be prepared to be the first person in line to vote that day. If you do not have transportation to the polling place, call your local library and find out who is offering free transportation to polling locations. Remember, vote.
You need to live life with a purpose. You need to spend the time needed to explore, to find your true passion. There are so many unhappy people in this world not willing to make a change. There are so many unhappy people not focusing on the big picture. 1 out of 3 people are happy with their lives. Think about that for a second. 70% of the people you see every day are not happy. And the majority of that has to do with purpose. People are programmed, wired to be okay with the minimum. People stay in jobs they're not passionate about. They date people who don't support them, hang out with people who don't help them grow. This can't be you. You need to spend the time to discover what your true calling is. What are you passionate about? What do you see yourself doing to make your mark? Are you in a job right now that you're truly happy with? Do you wake up every morning excited to start your day? If not, that's okay. You know now this isn't fulfilling you. But what are you gonna do about it? Are you willing to make a change to help reach your goals? If you are, it needs to start now. Because this won't happen overnight, finding your true calling. But once you do, you will see how everything changes. You will begin to see the quality of your life increase. All those problems you had, they slowly fade. You begin to see how powerful life is with a purpose.
Why you need to go register and vote. The presidential election will soon be here, and I have encountered several people who have said they are not going to vote in this election because none of the candidates are honorable or scripturally correct. While these qualities are highly desirable in candidates, we live in an age where few people involved in politics can claim any of these traits. My answer to these people is as follows. As a member of this society, you need to get out and vote. Your vote counts. It is our right to stand up against wrong in any way we can. Our government is a republic in which we are given the responsibility to vote for people to represent us. As a believer in the rule of law, we have to stand up against evil in any way we can. So we need to ask ourselves, are we for the constitutional qualities that honor the rule of law, or are we against it? If so, then you need to vote. Why complain? Vote. President Hussein Barack Obama tweeted to all of us that we all should vote. In November, it will be in your hands. Vote. Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money And this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire. And you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do nothing girlfriend or your do nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life, she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man, or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, the grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in two words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. Today I want to discuss the book Be Not Defeated in Hard Times. I'm introducing this book to you because I want you to realize how much you can learn about your life and the lives of others by reading. It's important that you read. Please, please start reading because reading can truly change your life. This book talks to you about fighting, standing up for yourself, believing in yourself, and changing your life. When you are faced with adversity, every human being is called upon to stand up. This book is designed to give you the strength to do just that. One of our pocket sized devotionals. With this book at your side, you can reach for encouragement, refreshment, and the strength to fight life's battles. You do not have to stick your head in the sand. You can stand up. We want to remind you that you can win at life. Life is a joyful experience that is supposed to be filled with happiness and at God's helm. This book will help you to stay mindful of your responsibilities to God and yourself. Your family will benefit from your diligence. Before you begin to read the book, Be Not Defeated in Hard Times, please read Isaiah 65, verse 24, several times. Now read the verse Jeremiah 33, verse 3. Read that several times. Now, God said in Isaiah 65:24, and it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I shall hear. Firmly implant this verse in your mind so that every time you think of praying, you will say this to yourself: God is going to hear me. God said, before I finish praying, he shall answer me. Yet here I want you to stop for a second. There is one rub in this passage that sends people reeling. You will be right in believing God will hear you and he will answer your prayer, but he may not answer your prayer as to way that you wish. He may provide what he thinks is right for you, but you may not be in agreement. What you pray for may not be what you need. Therefore, when we do not receive what we have prayed for, we think that there is not a God or God doesn't care for us. You must understand that God can see further down the road than you. You may be praying to purchase your first Cadillac, but God knows one of your children will develop a life threatening disease and you will need more money to hold your house together. So, if you purchase a Cadillac, will you have to wait until the emergency blows over? Think about it. You will need that money if your child develops a life threatening illness. Read Isaiah 65, verse 24 to yourself each day. This will keep you hopeful. It will give you courage to face the day. This passage tells you you can rely upon God. This passage is one of the most powerful verses in the Bible. It is the foundation of your relationship with God. He says, I shall answer you before you finish speaking. Man cannot perform this as well. Man has to consult his maps and charts before he can tell you about the weather. And man surely cannot tell you what will occur in the future. Count on God. That is correct. Count on God. Stop relying on the world to tell you what to do. Now consider this. In the 1960s, man told women that it was all right to shack up with a man. We will no longer judge you harshly. It is okay for you to have a baby and not be married. You can just stand on a mound of grass and pledge yourself to one another, and that will be fine. Well, what is the results of this promise? Devastation. We have 25 million children running around this country living without their fathers, and many of them have been turned into monsters. No, no, not one of these children is eligible for Social Security because they do not bear their father's name. Their father's name is absent from their birth certificate. The male children who have been abandoned are so filled with rage and anger that they are killing women at an escalated rate. There is a man sitting on death row in Tennessee, and he is an abomination to God. The sum total of his entire life merged into the destruction of two individuals who had never done him any harm. He murdered two strangers. How much anger he must have contained. I do not even know whether the word of God can help him. This man was sexually abused as a child, and he has not forgotten that abuse. In fact, the abuse is at the center of his thoughts every waking moment of his life. He saw two innocent people and unleashed his fury on the world. The world had destroyed his life with all its rules and regulations. Now he was going to destroy two innocent people. A murder like this also happened in Colorado, Texas, and California, where the sexually abused child responded to the world's rejection of him. Anytime society does not protect a child, that is rejection. Now, society can use its power to take a child from his mother, yet society does not use its power to protect that child from sexual abuse in the foster care system. The only thing our foster care system has done is accomplish the destruction of children. Why was there not work done to restore the family, correct what was broken, repair the broken psyche of the woman that was abandoned? No society should take a child from the bosom of their mother and let them be prey to sexual deviants who turn these children into alcoholics and dope addicts. Do you know there are women in this country with two sons on death row? The book goes on to discuss illicit drugs. It says illicit drugs use is associated with suicide, homicide, and motor vehicle injuries, HIV infection, pneumonia, violence, mental illness, and hepatitis. At least 3 million individuals in the United States have a serious drug problem. Several studies have reported an undercount of the number of deaths attributed to drugs by vital statistics. However, improved medical treatment has reduced mortalities from many diseases associated with the illegal drug use. In keeping with the report by McGuinness, we include deaths caused indirectly by illicit drug use in this category. We use attributable fractions to compute the number of deaths due to illicit drugs. Overall, we estimate that illicit drugs use results in approximately 17,000 deaths in 2000, a reduction of 3,000 deaths from the 1990 report. The man who killed the two innocent people in Tennessee, he could not have been raised by a father. If he was, then his father was a very foolish, stupid man. The man on death row in Tennessee was created into this state because a woman believed the promises of a man. You can shack up with a man and have a child without the benefit of marriage, and it would be okay by the world's standards. She believed this man's promise, and the results of that promise was having a son waiting on death row until he is executed for 2 counts of first-degree murder. If you can believe the promises of man, why can you not believe the promises of God? Believe this. God says, before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I shall hear. God says, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, and I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. In Isaiah 41:10, God said, do not fear and do not dismay. Do not lose courage or resolution or be alarmed. God said he will strengthen you and he will help you. God is not like man. He is not like man. He does not speak and make promises that he doesn't mean. If you are in trouble and you worry a lot, you need to read the book, Be Not Defeated in Hard Times. Go to the website, touchedbythelight.us, and read the first chapter of this book.
Life is at its best when you get to the mountaintop. Nevertheless, at times we lose our way and land in the valley. Adversity comes and shakes us in fear. What do you do at such a time? Where do you get your strength when it's gone? Be Not Defeated in Hard Times is the book you need to overcome such fears and gain back your strength. It's cheap, $10.95 only. To purchase this book, log into touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications before it's out of stock.
The three most important questions regarding voting is: one, am I eligible to vote in the state of Michigan? How do I register to vote? And where do I vote? There is no poll tax in the state of Michigan, which means you do not have to pay off your traffic fines, your court fees, or back taxes in order to vote in the state of Michigan, unlike southern states such as Florida and Mississippi. These tactics are voter suppression, designed to keep certain men in power and certain men as underdogs. The unions in Michigan are greatly responsible for much of the liberal attitude toward voting. To be eligible to vote in the state of Michigan, you have to, one, be a Michigan resident at the time in which you are registering to vote. As a resident of the city or township for at least 30 days when you vote, you must be a United States citizen. You must be at least the age of 18 when you vote, which means if you are going to be 18 in November, you can register to vote for that election. Not vote if you're currently serving a sentence in jail or prison. But listen, currently serving a sentence. After registering to vote in the state of Michigan, you can vote an absentee voter ballot at the clerk's office, or you can vote at your polling place on election day. Military and overseas civilian voters have additional options to register. You can register to vote through election day. Some clerk's offices have open satellite offices for voter registration. You must show proof of where you live. Documents must have your name, your current address. You can show a digital copy of any document. Acceptable documents are: one, a Michigan driver's license or a state ID, current utility bills, a bank statement, payment or a governmental check, or other governmental documents. There are two groups where there is always a question whether or not they have the right to vote. Those people are convicted felons and the disabled. In the state of Michigan, individuals who are in prison or jail for committing a felony are not eligible to vote unless they are awaiting trial or arraignment. If you are awaiting trial or arraignment, you still have the right to vote. Once you complete your prison or jail sentence, voting rights are automatically restored. This is why you have to read these sentences carefully. It says you are not eligible to vote unless you are awaiting trial or arraignment. You have to have been convicted of a crime before your right to vote is taken away from you. Once you have served your prison sentence or your jail sentence, your right to vote is automatically restored. Have any questions about your rights? Talk to someone from the ACLU. They have an entire website devoted to questions regarding voting. Some of the greatest legal battles that have been fought in this country regarding voting have taken place through people who were hired and working for the ACLU. We need to be proud that we have such an organization in our country. The United States Constitution guarantees every U.S. citizen age 18 or older the right to vote. Our state constitution further defines the right to vote by also requiring voters to be a resident of the state of Michigan and register to vote in their city or township of residence. They must also fulfill Michigan's voter identification requirement. That requirement can be met in two ways: by bringing an acceptable ID, such as a Michigan driver's license or personal ID card or other current ID documents, or signing an affidavit stating you are not in possession of an ID other than city or township residency, identification, and age requirement. State and federal laws do not place any other restrictions on the right to vote. Voting allows us to shape public policy and determine who leads our communities, state, and nation. Our right to vote is basic to our system of democracy and depending on all people having full and equal access to the ballot. And I repeat, in the state of Michigan, to fulfill the voter identification requirement, you can do it two ways. One, by bringing acceptable ID as a Michigan driver's license, personal ID card, or current ID document. Or two, by signing an affidavit stating you are not in possession of such an ID. Voting at the polls can present a unique set of challenges to people with disabilities. Federal and state laws require Michigan cities, townships, and villages to provide a reasonable number of accessible registration facilities. It is the intent of the law to ensure that voters with disabilities are fully able to exercise their voting rights at the poll. Any action or physical barrier that prevents voters with disabilities from casting their ballot is unacceptable. To fulfill the intent of the law, election officials must consider access from outside and inside the polling place. Problems with physical surroundings such as narrow doorways, stairs, broken pavement, and other obstacles outside can prevent voters with disabilities from entering a polling place. Inside a polling place, issues such as inadequate lighting, seating, and voting stations that cannot accommodate a person who is seated can further hamper someone's right to vote. Ensure that proper accessibility is maintained. Federal and state law requires polling places to remove and make accommodations for any barrier that prevents voters with disabilities from voting. Care should be taken to ensure that polling places are accessible. Doors should not be blocked. Alternatives to stairs, such as a ramp or elevator, should be available, and lighting and seating should be adequate. To help communities to remove these barriers and improve access to polling places, the Michigan Secretary of State's offices have awarded over $1 million to help American Vote Act grants to municipalities statewide. Most of the work involved was improving parking spaces, passenger drop-off areas, interior and exterior paths of travel, building entrances, and voting areas. Inside the voting location, at least one voting station should be adapted to allow a person to vote while seated. In addition, all voters, including voters with disabilities, have access to a voter-assisted terminal in all polling places. The voter-assisting terminal helps the voter mark a ballot. It will mark the ballot with the voter's choice, but does not tally the votes. Once the ballot is marked, it is counted in exactly the same fashion as other ballots. Voters with disabilities who require assistance in casting a ballot may receive assistance from another person, provided that person that is assisting the voter is not the voter's employer, agent, or their employer or office or an agent of a union in which the voter belongs. There shall be no intimidation of a voter. You can do your part. You can help someone register to vote. You can explain absentee voting to a person. You can help someone use a computer to register to vote, or you can take that person to the city clerks for voting. You can explain to them the issues that they will be voting for. You can help a person find the voting polling places. There's lots that you can do to help your neighbor or your community to vote.
I want to talk today about commitment. The act of making an agreement or a pledge to do something in the future. Now listen, we are all called by God, and through Him is our strength. So during these times, these hardships, we need to stay committed. Committed to His Word, committed to freeing yourself from the negativity, committed to empowering yourself, bettering yourself, and living your life to the fullest. Through God, all is possible. Once you believe, and once you are committed. You are the women of courage.
Join us at the Women of Courage Show every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for information that will change your life.